devices are tampered with.
And Senate President Tito Soto says a reenacted budget, at least until the first week of the new year, is likely. That's if the executive branch does not scrutinize the spending bill even before it is formally ratified on December 29.
And Vice President Sara Duterte has called the statements of Ramil Madriaga as nothing more than noise. Madriaga has claimed to be a former aide and bagman to the VP when she supposedly took money from pogo operators and drug syndicates. Days after the death of former Public Works Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral, authorities are rushing to secure all possible evidence she could have left in connection with the flood control scandal.
Now, law enforcers are also leaving no stone unturned when it comes to possible foul play in Cabral's demise. And here is tonight's big story.
The Office of the Ombudsman has ordered the Department of Public Works and Highways to immediately produce all gadgets, computers, and other electronic devices previously issued to resign Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral. The Ombudsman says that, quote, upon turnover, these devices will be subjected to forensic examination by a law enforcement agency to determine whether any data was altered, deleted, or tampered with after the flood control scandal was first made public. But what if the pieces of evidence were indeed altered? According to Assistant Ombudsman Mico Clavano, these will be subjected to further forensics. After all, these information usually leave a trace even after deletion. Meanwhile, Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste claims he is in possession of documents from Cabral herself. These contain proponents of DPWH projects, which included names of congressmen and senators. But what bewilders the neophyte lawmaker is that there are cabinet members and private individuals in the list who, to his knowledge, should have no hand in public works projects. Leviste insisted that the documents he has are legitimate and even bears Cabral's handwritten notes pertaining to the project status and approving authority.
Si Yusek Cabral ang gumagawa ng budget. Ang question lang ay sino nang bibigay sa kanya ng mga instruction. Nandito po sa listahan, meron column on handwritten notes. Napaka-comprehensive talaga ng files ni Yusek Cabral. Pati yung mga handwritten notes, ginagawa niyang soft copy. At nakalagay dito sa mga handwritten notes, puro mga SMB for evaluation, SMB recommended. At I guess we can surmise that SMB is Secretary Manny Bonoan.
When asked to make public the documents, here's Leviste's answer.
I would prefer that DPWH be the one to release it. At maganda pag isa publiko, pwedeng opisyal para walang mag-question ng authenticity. At may paliwanag din ang DPWH sa laman nito. At sana kompleto din. At kung may mas marami pang files na makalap sila sa opisina ni Yusek Cabral, isabay-sabay na nilang ipakita ang full picture.
Leviste also denied reports he forcefully obtained the documents from Cabral, wrestling it out of the former DPWH Yusek's hands in one instance.
Ibinigay po ito sa akin noong September 4 at si Secretary Dizon po ang pwedeng magpaliwanag kung talagang hindi naman voluntary ang pagbisita po sa DPWH kasi alam naman po nilang lahat na may meeting po ako doon at tawag po si Secretary Dizon na pwedeng ibigay sa akin ang mga files. Through Director Alex Bote, ako nag-set ng meeting. Nandun din pa po sa DPWH si Director Alex Bote. At mahalaga po na maprotektahan natin lahat ng mga files na nasa opisina ng planning services ng DPWH.
Another lawmaker who claims to be in possession of documents from Cabral is Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chair Panfilo Lacson. Senator Lacson, however, cannot confirm if he and Leviste have the same documents. All he can say for now is, quote, I'm glad that there is a Congressman Leandro Leviste who I think is hardworking enough to secure material documents that may help shed light on the ongoing investigations. For now, Lacson says he'd rather give the Cabral family time to grieve since authorities can still act on the files at the proper time and venue. At the moment, security at Cabral's wake is very strict. There is a list of people who are allowed to enter. Over at the site where Cabral was found dead, police did a reenactment to cross-check the initial pieces of evidence they gathered. Based on the autopsy report, Cabral hit her head when she fell 20 to 30 meters off a ravine in Tuba Benguet. The area is part of Cannon Road. Her ribs, legs, and arms were also crushed as they came into contact with the rocky ground. Rose, a resident, told News 5 she had seen Cabral and her driver by the roadside the morning before the incident.
May taong dalawa na babae at saka lalaki na ewan ko kung anong ginagawa doon. Nagse-selfie siguro o ano. Nung i-scan ko yung mga Facebook, yun naman, sila rin yung nakita ko doon. Sila, yung damit.
Alam niyo po.
Oo, yun. So,
Of all the photos taken in the scene, apparently it was this photo Cabral's driver took that has now gone viral on social media. And DILG had confirmed the photo was legit. Meantime, the NBI has also inspected the hotel room in Baguio where Cabral checked in before her demise. They saw a bag, documents, and other personal belongings. They are now appealing to motorists with dash cams who could have passed Cannon Road on December 18 to contribute evidence by way of footage to the investigation.
Now, in other news, the ratification of the 2026 General Appropriations Act has been moved to December 29. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives was supposed to ratify the reconciled spending plan for 2026 today. But Senate President Tito Soto said the extended schedule allows lawmakers to formally approve the enrolled bill itself rather than a summary of the bicameral report.
Talagang hindi namin kakayanin yung today na mag-ratify because ayoko nung summary. Ayoko ng blind ratification katulad na nangyari last year. As far as I'm concerned, basta while I'm Senate President, gusto ko malinaw. Ang niraratify namin, malinaw na. Almost enrolled copy or enrolled copy na papuntang Presidente.
what are the chances?
Kaya para malinis yun at walang insertion whatsoever.
The question now is there enough time for the government to avoid a reenacted budget? Despite the compressed schedule, lawmakers gave their assurance that there will be no reenacted budget for 2026. If the final enrolled budget is ratified on December 29, it will immediately be transmitted to Malacanang for approval. President Marcos is expected to sign the General Appropriations Act into law on that same day. Well, that's if the palace has also started its own review of the measure. Soto says if the president needs more time to study the budget, the signing may be pushed to early January, which would have the government start 2026 on a reenacted budget. Soto said a brief reenacted budget would not have serious implications, noting that previous reenactments lasted much longer.
If they have started reviewing it from now up to that time, there is a possibility, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Perhaps somewhere like sometime like the first week of January would be ideal na review na nila yun.
So possible reenacted for a few days, ganun.
Yeah, kung ganun lang naman, walang problema because, di ba, the last time, meron pa kaming 3 months na reenacted.
Meanwhile, before the lower chamber suspended its session today, House Speaker Boji D congratulated the House BICAM panel for ensuring a 2026 budget with no insertions.
Sa inyong pamumuno at tiyaga, nakapagtapos tayo ng budget na maaaring pagkatiwalaan ng taong bayan. Isang budget na walang insertions, na hindi itinago, hindi minadali, kundi bukas sa mata ng publiko. This budget is historic, not only because the process was transparent, but because the priorities were very clear. It is a budget shaped by love for the country, a deep understanding of our people's realities, and genuine compassion for our kababayan.
And still at the House of Representatives, a resolution was adopted expressing its condolences to the family of the late Antipolo Congressman Romeo Acop. House leaders led by Speaker Boji D introduced House Resolution 601 in recognition of Acop's decades-long contributions to public order, good governance, and the rule of law. The lawmaker died last Saturday in his home at the age of 78. His family announced that his passing was due to a heart attack.
Bago po tayo magpatuloy, iniiling ko po ang sandali ng katahimikan at paggalang para sa isang lingkod bayan na tunay na nagsilbi ng may dangal at katapatan. Ang ating pong kaibigan, Representative Romeo Acop. He was a public servant who did not seek applause, but meaning hindi siya naglingkod para sa pagkilala, kundi para sa kapakanan ng kanyang mga kababayan at ng ating bansa.
Senate President Pro Tempore Panfilo Lacson also expressed deep sadness over the passing of Congressman Acop. In a statement, Lacson said, and we quote, "I am saddened, even devastated to learn about Sir Romeo Acop's passing. He was a dear friend, cavalier, upperclassman, and advisor." Lacson, a former Philippine National Police chief, said he will always remember how Acop prioritized cleansing the police force of scalawags and misfits. The senator also expressed his condolences to Acop's family, ending his statement with a line that the law enforcer turned legislator will surely be missed.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, one group has filed a string of complaints against the former finance secretary and the former PhilHealth chief for an earlier transfer of the State Health Insurance Fund to the National Treasury. The details of that when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
You're still watching The Big Story on One News. Circling back to our top story, the death of resigned DPWH Yuse Catalina Cabral. There are conspiracy theories still, and some lawmakers like Caloocan Representative Erice are questioning the circumstances surrounding her death. So we bring in Caloocan Congressman Erice now. Good evening to you, Congressman. Welcome back to The Big Story.
Good evening, Ces. Good evening.
Congressman, you have a resolution urging an inquiry into the death of Yuse Cabral. You have reason to believe that there is something else, or there are other incidents that led to her death.
Yes, I filed the resolution together with 10 lawmakers, including the members of the Liberal Party and Akbayan. We believe that the committees on good government and the Committee on Public Works and Highways should conduct an inquiry on the circumstances that leads to the death of Yuse Cabral.
So you have information that, because the government is leaning towards that she may have taken her own life, the theory that she may have taken her own life.
Maraming questions maraming mga illogical na mga sinasabi, especially yung driver towards na iniwan. May mga nagsasabi, 8 ng umaga, nandun na siya. Ang sabi ng driver, 3 o'clock sila nagpunta ron. Maraming question. Pero ang pinakamahalaga dito, bakit siya namatay? Yun ang, sino yung magbe-benefit sa pagkamatay ni Yuse Cabral? Alam mo, siya yung repository ng mga pangalan ng mga politiko at public officials na nag-insert sa GAA. Yun kung saan napunta sa mga flood control ghost flood control projects, anomalous projects. Kaya siya yung may hawak, siya lang nakakaalam kung sino yung siya yung susi. At yung isa sa mga susi, si Secretary Bonoan ay wala dito sa ating bansa. Pero maging si Secretary Bonoan, hindi siya yung repository. Talagang si Yusek Cabral. Kaya kinakailangan namin imbestigahan para mapatawag din namin yung kanyang mga, for example, yung Director for Planning. At hindi naman si Yusek Cabral na nag-i-encode ng lahat ng mga pangalan na yan. So may pinakita sa akin si Congressman Leviste na around 20 names of encoders ng mga flood control projects na ito during the 2025 budget. So yung gusto naming malaman at gusto naming malaman kung sino yung kausap niya sa DPWH, sa DBM, at sa iba pang ahensya tungkol dito sa mga proyekto na ito.
So hindi yung
gusto rin namin malaman,
Congressman, kung ma-interrupt ko lang kayo, hindi yung pagkamatay niya, kundi yung alam niya ang inyong gustong
kasama na
imbestigahan.
rin
Tama?
kasama rin yung pagkamatay niya kasi may kaduda-duda nga may ang daming mga balita na madalas talaga siya sa Baguio, hindi naman siya tumitira sa hotel sa isang mansion na hindi natin alam kung sino may-ari. Bakit hindi na freeze yung kanyang account, nakakapag-withdraw siya freely, yan yung sinasabi ng driver niya. So bakit hindi na freeze samantalang alam na gobyerno, meron
Anong mansyon po yung
si
sinasabi nyo? Kaninong mansyon yung kanyang tinitirahan doon?
Ay, hindi namin alam. Pero ang sinasabi, madalas na nakatira, na nag-stay pagkatapos siya mag-resign, yan yung sabi ng driver, pagkatapos siya mag-resign, madalas siya sa isang mansion dyan sa Baguio City.
Ang isang parang nakakapagtakang disclosure ni DILG Secretary Remulla ay yung lugar na yon ay kung saan nagkaroon ng kontrobersya yung netting sa mga bato, di ba? Sa gilid ng bundok.
Yes.
He disclosed this. So, ano ba yung tingin ninyo doon?
Oo, marami talagang tanong. Maraming tanong. Pero ang pinaka-importante sa amin, bakit naging insufficient at napakabagal ng gobyerno para makuha lahat ng information kay Yusek Cabral. Samantalang alam naman ng gobyerno na siya lahat ng repository nito. Di ba?
Yes.
Dapat siya ang una aside from Yusek Bernardo, si Yusek Bernardo kung may kaalaman yan, siguro yung part of the insertions. Pero may kaalaman ng lahat ng insertions na yan, si Yusek Cabral. Bakit hindi siya pinapatawag?
Tama ka, Congressman. Yusek Cabral was really a central figure when it came to this flood control scandal. But going back to your resolution, Kong, how soon do you expect this to be taken up by the appropriate committee? And meron po ba kayong suporta from your colleagues?
Yan ang kailangan. Kailangan namin na supportahan kami ng aming mga colleagues kung gusto natin malaman yung katotohanan.
Congressman, it's been 4 days na since the untimely passing of Yusek Cabral. But have you been doing your own investigation as well? May mga lumapit po ba sa inyo with information about some of the activities of Yusek Cabral prior to her death?
Yes, maraming mga nagbibigay sa akin information. Pero yung actual accident, kung accident o yung actual incident, alam mo, hindi dapat kagad i-conclude na suicide kasi alam mo, may technology naman yung Google Earth. Nung araw na yun, maliwanag, may exact location, coordinates, may exact na timeline. So, madali yan makita sa Google Earth. Dapat yan siguro yung gawin ng gobyerno. Kami, susubukan namin, yung aking mga staff niya, pinukuha yung mga exact coordinates, then we'll ask some providers na tingnan yung actual incident.
What's the sense of your colleagues there in Congress? Because remember, tinigil na yung investigasyon dahil may ICI na.
Wala na ngayong ICI ngayon. Yung ICI, nasa ICU na. Lahat ng, maski yung Blue Ribbon, hindi ko alam bakit si Senator Ping Lacson, ang dami niyang sinabi ng mga information, pero ayaw niya i-pursue.
So, baka dead end rin ito itong inyong resolution. You don't have the numbers and your colleagues who may be implicated won't also be inclined to do this inquiry?
Kaya tuloy-tuloy lang ang pakikipaglaban para sa katotohanan kasi kung mahal natin yung ating bayan, kung mahal natin yung kinabukasan ng mga anak at kabataan natin, hindi natin papayagan na ganito ang mangyari na walang conclusion, kundi paulit-ulit lang ito.
Congressman, sa inyong paningin, sino po ba dapat ang i-summon sa inquiry na ito to shed more light? And with that, I also wanted to ask about this list na sinasabi nga po ni Congressman Leviste that contains the proponents and the formula that Yusek Cabral allegedly crafted, yung BBM.
Yes, ang gagawin namin, ang balak namin, kung papayagan ng liderato ng Kongreso, we'll summon all the employees of directly reporting to Yusek Cabral, including Director Alex Bote, who's the Director for Planning, yung mga encoders na nakalagay dun sa listahan, ni Congressman Leviste, ganun din yung counterpart ni Yusek Cabral sa DBM, at yung pagdating naman doon sa mga contractors na may mga nababanggit na contractors na medyo malapit kay Yusek Cabral, yun din may kailangan ding maimbestigahan.
Yung mga dokumento na hawak ni Congressman Leviste, na ipakita na po ba niya sa inyo?
Yes, nakita ko na yung medyo maliliit lang, medyo hindi ganun kalinaw yung aking mata, pero nakita ko yung mga listahan ng mga encoders.
Lahat ng dokumentong supposedly binigay ni Yusek Cabral, napakita na niya sa inyo, pati yung mga handwritten notes?
Hindi pa. Kasi actually yung hindi namin siya kasama na nagplano doon sa resolution na yun. Nung balita na magpa-file nga kami ng resolution, tinawagan niya ako late yesterday evening, hanggang 11 nag-uusap kami at sabi niya gusto niya maging part of the resolution at ipapakita niya sa akin yung records niya. So kanina nagmamadali kami, pinakita niya sa akin yung mga listahan ng mga encoders. So there's a way of verifying whether itong mga listahan ng insertions, diversions na kay Congressman Leviste ay yun din yung nasa listahan ni Yusek Cabral. Dahil nandun pa naman yung mga encoders. Kaya nga dapat ang nakita ko, bakit hindi sinecure ng DPWH yung mga records ni Yusek Cabral sa kanilang computers.
Yeah, remember there was supposed to be a fire pa nga?
Pero hindi naman doon hindi naman doon ang office niya Pero
okay.
alam mo, ang problema dito, ang nasisense ng tao, may mga cover-ups. Ang problema, yung cover-up will lead to a series of cover-ups. At kung ganyan na mangyayari, kita mo, may namamatay, 3 na yung namatay sa DPWH, kasama at marami pang madadamay.
Pero,
meron nga may mga nakakausap nga akong contractors na wala naman silang flood control project na ghost, pero napiprease yung accounts nila. So yan yung at ang daming nawawalan ng trabaho, ang daming public spending. I'm sure by next year bababa pa lalo yung GDP natin dahil napakalaki ng epekto ng construction sa GDP natin. At bakit yung mga maliliit na mga Pilipino, mga mamamayan, mga negosyante, mga manggagawa, maapektuhan dahil lang dito sa ginawang kalokohan na ito. Kaya hindi pwedeng huminto.
Pero Congressman, I'd just like to ask you, kasi may mga question din kung paano nakuha ni Congressman Leviste yung dokumento. There are allegations that he actually took these documents by force.
Yes, I heard that. Pero kaya nga kailangan natin na kailangan natin na tawagin mismo yung mga naging code para malaman natin kung totoo ito o hindi. At kailangan ma-secure natin ng gobyerno. Kung gusto talaga ng gobyerno na malaman yung katotohanan, dapat i-secure nila yung mga DPWH officials na ito.
Paano, Congressman, just as a final question, no, how can we make sure that people with critical information are actually protected?
Wala. Ayun, wala. Kaya nga, kinakailangan para hindi maulit ito, kailangan mag-imbestiga talaga ang Kongreso dahil mukhang nanahimik na yung Blue Ribbon, dahil yung ICI mukhang nasa ICU na. Kinakailangan. Kaya nananawagan tayo sa mga kasama natin sa Kongreso na sobrang pahirap ang nangyari na ito sa pinakamaliliit nating mga Pilipino. Kami
Congressman,
naman, sa Liberal Party, hindi kami titigil.
in
Isa na lang yung
closing,
mahirap to dahil malalaking mga tao yung involved at kailangan ang aming motto dito, yung dalawang linya ng ating national anthem, bayang magiliw ang mamatay ng dahil sa iyo. We will pursue.
in closing, anong assessment ninyo dito sa investigasyon ng gobyerno? We're about to end the year. Nangako sila na big fish will be in jail. And it's almost Christmas, wala pa rin. And they keep, giving out promises na wala naman nangyayari. Anong assessment nyo in closing?
Obviously, mabagal. Obviously, mukhang may pinoprotektahan. Obviously, hindi transparent. At obviously, may confusion. Iba ang direksyon. Parang hindi, yung direksyon hindi straight line. Parang kakaliwa minsan, kakanan. Diba? Paikot-ikot. So, hindi talaga, parang walang katapusan itong investigasyon na to. Kaya nga, kinakailangan talaga na yung mga well-meaning public officials in the private sectors, yung mga NGOs at kayo sa media, dapat talaga ay hindi manahimik. Kung mahal natin yung ating bayan, mahal natin yung kinabukasan ng ating bayan. Dahil alam ko, by next year, mas lalong mahirap ang ekonomiya ng ating bayan dahil walang closure. Itong pinakamalaking pagnanakaw na ito sa kaban ng bayan.
We thank you for your time, Caloocan Representative Egay Erice. Meantime, Vice President Sara Duterte debunks links to Ramil Madriaga, who claims to be her bag man. In a statement, Duterte said she has no personal relationship with Madriaga, adding that she never gave him any instructions. The VP also denied ever visiting him in jail nor speaking to him at any time about anything. Duterte further dismissed the photographs submitted by Madriaga, saying these were taken during public events. She said, and we quote, "These images do not support his allegations and merely show that he was present as part of an election campaign group." The Vice President likewise accused Madriaga of disseminating false statements, saying this is an attempt to undermine her possible candidacy for president in 2028. Duterte went on, Mr. Madriaga has offered no proof, no documents, no corroboration, only accusations. Bare allegations, no matter how Welcome back to the big story. The Senate and House of Representatives have collectively decided to extend their sessions to December 30, 2025. According to Senate Finance Committee Chairman Sherwin Gatchalian, this is to give ample time for the printing of the draft enrolled bill, as well as its signing with the Bicameral Conference Committee report on the 2026 national budget. From today, December 22nd, the ratification of the budget was pushed back to December 29, then transmitted to Malacanang for the scrutiny, final approval, and signature of President Bongbong Marcos, hopefully on the same day. Senate President Tito Sotto vowed that they will never allow a blind ratification. And at this point, we bring in Lanao del Sur 1st District Congressman Zia Lonto Adyong, who's also the Vice Chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations. Good evening, Congressman Adyong. Welcome to the big story.
Yeah, good evening, Ces. Good evening, Pauline. Thank you for the invitation.
So what were the challenges today? Was what we were expecting a signing or a ratification?
Well, we were just waiting for the finality of the printing of the bicameral report. Naturally, it would also go through the process of reconciling all the line items as discussed during the BICA meetings, and eventually it will be printed out. We're talking here of not 2 pages, we're talking of thousands of pages, and it requires ample of time. So there's no, if you ask me, it's a good thing that we have live streamed the discussion. Apart from what is happening right now, the flood control mess, it actually was the reason why it actually went on several days as compared to the previous experiences that we had during the bicameral conference. So I guess we were also expecting in a way that a pushback would happen, and ito nga, nangyari nga, just giving the bicameral conference report to be published and to be again to be printed out, so that necessary signatures would also be affixed, and so there's a ratification scheduled supposedly today, but then again it was extended up to December 29th. So we are thankful. Personally, I'm thankful and I'm glad that we are not seeing a reenactment of the budget.
But Senator Tito Sotto still sees that possibility that there may be a reenacted budget, at least for January of next year.
Well, I do respect the opinion of Senate President Tito Sotto, but I'm coming from a position where I could safely say that since the bicameral conference debate and discussion was already over, we already had the initial understanding that both the Senate contingent and the House contingent, for that matter, agreed on contentious and conflicting provisions, disagreeing provisions in the submitted HGAB, as opposed also to the version of the Senate. So my understanding is it would only be reenacted if there is no consensus reached between these two contingents, meaning if there's a stalemate or deadlock as far as the disagreeing provisions in the line item of HGAB versus that of the Senate is concerned. So currently, right now, we do understand, based on the pronouncement of Senator Gatchalian, the chairman of the Finance Committee, with his counterpart from our contingent, Chairman Mika Swansing. In fact, they immediately after they had done the deliberation, they came out to hold an ambush interview so that the public can be guaranteed that there won't be any reenactment of the budget. So I understand the opinion and I respect the opinion, but I am more inclined to the Malacanang finally fixing the president's signature once we transmit this GAB to Malacanang to make it officially a law.
But Congressman, are you confident that President Bongbong Marcos will indeed sign this by December 29, on the same day that you will be transmitting this to Malacanang? Because with that's assuming that he will not be vetoing any line item. So what makes you confident, Congressman, that won't happen?
As far as the House contingent is concerned and what we have seen, and what we saw, what we witnessed during the live stream of the bicameral conference, I am confident that all the disagreeing provisions in the gap, in the age gap in the Senate version were all aligned and they were all reconciled. But again, I would not even preempt to even say that the president will definitely sign the gap. No, that would entirely be up to the palace. But those disagreeing provisions, which actually came out, as a result of this flood control controversy, I believe it was exhaustively discussed between the two contingents. Secretary Vince Dizon came out. Even that, I think, if my recollection is correct, that's the first time that this a cabinet member who belongs to an executive branch was invited and was given the opportunity to talk and explain his or her budget of his agency. That never happened in the past bicameral conference discussion. So I guess when the disagreeing provisions were there was a cut of the budget supposedly requested after finally appreciating the cost of materials, etc. It was reduced into 20-something billion pesos. I guess that's a good reason for the executive branch to also be in line with the direction of the BICAM, which is to provide a budget for the president, for the bureaucracy, or for the entire bureaucracy's expenses in 2026, sound and well-intentioned. Yeah.
Why are you so against a reenacted budget, even for only a portion of January?
Well, first and foremost, what we did and what we actually told the public is that we wanted a budget that gives credence to the constitutional provisions, prioritizing our educational sector as the number one recipient of the chunk of the budget that we will allocate and we will appropriate for the year's expenses. In 2026, we have actually added up more than hundreds of billions. The total amount for the educational sector is about, I guess, trillion pesos now in 2026. So you're talking of the backlog. It will address the backlog for schoolrooms backlog, 40,000 according to the Education Commission, 40,000 backlogs that we need to construct enable for us, the government, accommodate. So my point, ma'am, says is that if we enact the budget, I'm just citing to the educational sector.
Okay.
If we enact the budget, that would absolutely be, it would not be implemented, for the
I do understand the concern of Senate President Soto that he wants to really scrutinize the budget and doesn't want a repeat of what happened last year, wherein parang pro forma na lang na hindi inisa-isa lahat. So if that is done, and as you said, you're talking of thousands, hefty documents, parang hindi kaya ng to finish this year. So I'm asking why not? It doesn't mean a reenacted budget for the entire of 2026, but only to give you more time, the legislators, to scrutinize line by line the budget.
Yes, based on our calendar of activities, the Senate and the House of Representatives, I don't know with the Senate, but in the House of Representatives, we hold sessions 3 days in a week, meaning Monday up to Wednesday. So we still have Thursdays and Friday for our other legislative functions. So my position, I don't want to preempt what would be the result of how the bicameral conference would order the technical group to produce the bicameral committee. But my presumption, I guess, is that prior to the 29th, there's going to be already a committee report, but not officially delivered in the plenary and both plenaries of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Meaning to say, those members can, once it is printed out officially, without even necessarily officially discussed it for ratification in an open session, my understanding is that there would be already a copy for each of the congressmen and senators to appreciate and to also do a line item should they decide to do that, meticulously check every line items in the budget.
Well, Congressman, House Speaker Boji D lauded the BICAM deliberations, saying that it was free from any insertions. But what guarantees can you give the public na wala po talagang pork, walang mga insertions in the 2026 national budget? Because there are also minority lawmakers asking for copies of the documents, the adjustments that took place during the BICAM. Will this be released to the public, Kong?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to clarify when you talk about by insertions, that is a line item that is not present under the NEP, meaning to say it was inserted and behind closed doors. Normally, what we've seen in the previous GAA was it was inserted during the bicameral conference. That's why we had the bicameral conference live stream so that people would know kung ano nangyari po dyan. So it big sabihin, the line items that was discussed, all the line items that were discussed and voted upon by the House of Representatives were all products of the submission of the executive branch under the NEP, the National Expenditure Program. But there is also we called about appropriation. There's also that mandate for the House of Representatives to readjust, increase and decrease each of the line items, discussed in the committee and then discussed in the plenary. So everything was done not only via proper and legal manner, but it just was also live streamed and documented well by the public. So when you talk about insertion,
Congressman, walang insertion pero may pork.
There is, yes,
pork.
I would agree. Yes, I would agree that there is, but the pork that we're talking here about is if it's a lump sum budget, but all the budget that was submitted and the NEP were line items, right? So it's just a matter of increasing, decreasing. And there are also a lot of agencies that, kasi karamihan po sa mga budget talaga ng mga agencies, hindi yun yung original na sinasabit nila sa DBCC. Some of the budgets were reduced because of the utilization rate. And once we hold the committee deliberation, some agencies even request the sponsors for their budget to increase a certain line items. And that's the power of the House. That's what you call balancing all the, but you have also be conscious about the ceiling. You cannot go beyond even a single cent. Hindi mo po pwede yun. So once you increase a certain funding, you also have to point out which line item would you reduce the funding based on the utilization rate and the implementation of the projects.
Okay, so we'll see each other again on December 30.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you for talking to us, Congressman
Thank you.
Zia Alonto Adyong. And with just 3 days left before Christmas, travel hubs
across the country are bracing for heavier volume, starting with the country's main gateway. At the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, passenger traffic is expected to rise by 5% to around 2.5 million travelers. The new NAIA Infracorp, or NNIC, says more than 13,700 flights will be handled during the peak period, with Terminal 3 seeing the heaviest volume. Just last Saturday, the airport set a record with over 171,000 passengers and 950 flight movements in a single day. NNIC said recent upgrades, including biometric immigration e-gates, have helped ease congestion during peak hours. Well, the scene is just as busy on the ground in Quezon City. Bus operators report more than 100,000 passengers traveling last Friday to Sunday alone. Despite full terminals, walk-in passengers are still being accommodated, with regular bus deployments keeping wait times manageable. At the Araneta Busport, trips to Calabarzon, Mimaropa, and Bicol operate on a first-come, first-served basis. Davao-bound trips are mostly full, with only 3 to 4 chance passengers accepted per bus. And operators expect passenger volume in Cubao to double through Christmas Eve.
And further south, the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITEX, is also packed. That's because more than 500,000 passengers passed through the terminal from Friday to Sunday alone. As of 2 p.m. this Monday, over 107,000 passengers have already been recorded. The management expects more than 3 million travelers from December 19 through January 5, with extra buses on standby for walk-in passengers.
And the Philippine Coast Guard is also reporting heavy sea travel. As of early today, more than 74,000 outbound and nearly 67,000 inbound passengers have passed through ports nationwide. All Coast Guard units are on heightened alert until January 4, with additional inspections in place to ensure safe Christmas travel. And speaking of the holidays, one of this year's Metro Manila Film Festival entries, Manila's Finest, is holding its red carpet premiere tonight. And for more details, we have Denise Valdesancho reporting to us live from Quezon City. Hey Denise, what's happening there so far?
Pauline, we are here at the Gateway Mall 2 in Cabral for the much anticipated premiere night of Manila's Finest, this year's MMFF entry of Signal TV and Quest Ventures. Lead actor Piolo Pascual graced the red carpet along with the film's director Raymond Red and the whole cast. While actor Enrique Gil wasn't able to attend the event, his fans were still present, showing their unwavering support for the film. Also in attendance were prominent figures from the media and entertainment industry, including Manny V. Pangilinan, Quest Ventures and Signal TV President and CEO Jane Jimenez Basas, TV5 President and CEO Guido Zaballero, and MQAA Head of Talent Management Johnny Manahan. Manila's Finest is an action drama film that focuses on the lives of elite law enforcers as they navigate high-risk missions while confronting personal and professional challenges. The film also highlights themes of duty, sacrifice, and brotherhood in the midst of serving and protecting the city. Pauline, following its star-studded premiere, Manila's Finest is set to hit the cinemas this Christmas. Back to you.
All right, well, we can't wait to see that in cinemas. But for now, thank you very much for that report. That was Denise Valdesancho. Diba? Yun na lang, magdasal na
Oo
lang.
nga. Teka muna, saan ba yung jail na may dancing,
Inmates?
in Cebu? Inmates.
Yeah, it's
Kaya
Cebu.
nga, in Lapu-Lapu ba?
Alamin natin yan. Oo.
Baka
Oo.
maghinay-hinay lang siya, she can...
Sali na lang siya doon sa
Sali siya doon.
sayawan. Oo.
Sali siya doon.
Anyway, that will do it for us here on The Big Story this Monday. See you again tomorrow at 7:30 and thank you for watching.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.